Good evening. Welcome to Suffering in Silence with Minister Tia here on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Luv Bay family, we are rising out of the ashes together. Our topic on tonight is the year in review. So Luv Bay, we've been here for a year now. So we're going to talk about our year and the events, the things that have happened thus far. We have with us our co-host for the evening is Bob Wood, Title IX coordinator of Gwinnett Mercy University. And our guest for this evening is none other than the founder and producer of Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. So TYB is with us on tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing from him, his thoughts on how everything is going thus far. Listeners, if you have any questions or comments for our guest or our co-host, you can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. Also, if you have resources that you would like to share with us on a national or local level from your country, your community, local organizations, or your faith community, you also can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. We want to start, as we always do, with sharing some resources. And first we have in the United States, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The website is www.thehotline.org. Their phone number is 1-800-799-7233. And again, if you reach out to the national number in whatever country you are, the national number will be able to direct you to local organizations to the area closest to where you live. We also have the Polaris Project on national human trafficking. Their hotline number is 1-888-373-7888. We also, you can send a text to them also, the words Be Free, BEFREE. You can text those words to 233-733. Their website is www.polarisproject.org. And we also have the Befrienders Volunteer Action to Prevent Suicide. You can find a helpline by country if you visit their website, www.befrienders.org. With that, I would ask if first, Bob, if you would greet our listeners and say hello and reintroduce yourself.
Hello, and thank you for having me here again tonight, especially since you called me because I was enjoying Thanksgiving a little too much. But it's a pleasure to be here, and certainly it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And thank you for having me, and looking forward to moving forward with you all and putting the word out there and doing what we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us, Bob. So, TYB, as we move into the topic on this evening, would you please, I don't want to say introduce yourself because I'm sure Luv Bay knows exactly who you are, but if you could just tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Minister Tia. It's awkward because I've always been behind the mic and, interviewing and having conversations with people. But this time around, I'm on the other side.
Yes.
Well, my name is Theo Yabwachi, and originally I'm from Ghana, now a Canadian citizen over the past 40 to 45 years now. I came to Canada to continue with my university education after high school, and I fell in love with the country, and I stayed in, and I started working with the federal government of Canada. I've been working with the federal government of Canada for the past 31 years, and I have children, 3 boys, and I'm a musician originally, and I have so many international awards to my name, especially the Juno Award, which is Canada's version of the Grammys, for World Music Album of the Year, and other awards. But notwithstanding that fact, I wanted to be in radio. Even when I was growing up, in Ghana, and the opportunity arose, and I said, you know what, let me take it up, and then see where it will go. And I think that as we go along, I'll be sharing with you the reasons why this radio station came into being. So I'm so happy to be with you this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever our listeners may be.
Yes, because we are international all around the globe. And I'm so thankful that you are going to share with us because that was my first question. So as we are, our topic again, is the year in review. This marks a year for this program. So I wanted to ask you, I know that you said that you wanted to be in radio, but what specifically led you to create and found Luv Bay?
Yes, I wanted to be in radio, even like when I was growing up back home in Ghana. And I was so fascinated with radio. And I quite remember, I used to go out there, get, posters of Sanyo, back in the day, Sanyo, just the poster and then put it on the wall and then mimic being a broadcaster and those kind of stuff. So I've been fascinated with radio. And the reason why this radio station came to be was that after myself and my group had won the Juno Award in Canada, a friend of mine, unbeknownst to me, had taken one of my CDs to a radio station, and I said, you know what? This is my friend Theo has won a Juno, so can you play this? And he said, oh, he was friends with this jockey, and he said, yeah, I'll play it. Yeah. I've heard a lot about him. So he said, okay. So he said, okay, I'll be listening to that. So he turned around and said, when are you going to play it? I want to know so that I'll be ready to listen to it and tell a lot of friends, And when he turned around, he saw the disc jockey throwing the CD away. Like he flung it. Mm-hmm. And he didn't say anything, and he walked away. And he never told me for over maybe 5 years. Mm-hmm. And on a Christmas day about 3 or 4 years ago, he told me, when we were sitting down having dinner, and said, this is what happened. I said, oh, is that right? So why didn't you tell me? He says, well, I thought you were going to be angry. I said, no, I'm not. I wasn't going to be angry because I wanted to use lemon to make lemonade.
Yes.
So I decided, okay, sure. You know what? If that's the case, that's fine. And prior to that, I was doing a mental health program on his own online radio. And I wanted to do so many different things, but his focus was not in line with what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. When the opportunity came that I decided to do radio. So when I left him, I wanted to start my own online radio station. And I had no technical knowledge. I didn't have anything to start with. I thought I knew. So I figured it out, and I contacted a lot of other companies that will give you the airtime. I got one in France, and I said, France is too far away. I got one in Germany. I said, So I finally found one in Canada, which is a subsidiary to a station in the States. Mm-hmm. And they were ready to help me out. And I gave them the concept as to what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And they were very impressed. And they said, well, we'll help you out. So this is very funny. On my second day of having established the station, we were going to do a program, and the whole thing crashed. And it was a long weekend, and I didn't know what to do. As I said, you know what? Even though the music is playing on the servers, I will find out why and what happened. So it was a Friday night. Saturday, I didn't go out. I stayed there to find out what actually happened. And on around midday on the Sunday, I found what was happening. And it opened up a lot of doors for me on that particular day. So right now, I think I'm in control. I know exactly what I have to do when it comes to establishing radio stations and stuff like that. And having said that, now came the part where I wanted to put what I wanted to do into motion. At first, I said, okay, it was going to be music. So we started with the music part, and I said, no, in this modern world, we have to be talking to each other.
Yes.
We don't talk to each other any longer because, you know what, if you go on the bus, everybody is so looking at, at their cell phones. People are crossing the streets with their cell phones. At the dinner table, everybody, mother is looking at the cell phone. Everybody is doing that. So I said to myself, you know what, we have to come up with with programs that will bring people together to listen to music and also to talk to each other. So we started developing various programs, and yours came into focus, and we said, once we got the story of Minister Tia, no, we are not going to let it go, because it connotes a lot of things that a lot of people are going through. It's not, when we talk about suffering in silence, for instance, a lot of people have the mindset that it's only women who suffer in silence, but there are a lot of men who also suffer in silence. So we developed that, and here we are, and we developed other programs. As a matter of fact, we are on the verge of developing more programs. The one that we are going to be launching maybe within the next couple of days will be Seniors to Seniors, a program for seniors, directly for seniors to be able to share their experiences with the younger generation, because I think they are going left and then we are going right. So we've come this far, and we are developing other programs, and want to also make it women-centered kind of a radio station to some extent, so that we'll be able to talk, because you know what, everything has been men-dominated.
Yes.
So we want to change the narrative, because I believe with the board also that whoever controls the media controls the narrative. So if we have to do it that way, then we have to be able to tell our stories. And who best has to tell the stories for us? It's us.
Yes.
Because if you have a story and you don't tell the story, and you get somebody to tell the story for you, it becomes his story or her story. So if the platform is there, then we have to use it. So it has built my enthusiasm to such an extent that even now we are not even inviting ministers of government, and they are coming, and a lot of other people are also coming, and we have religious part of the programming. So we are developing some programming content that will bring everybody together, because at the end of the day, we live in we belong to one race, and that is the human race.
Yes.
Well said.
Very well said. Very well said. So I hear that a couple of your goals, one being communication, to start communication, and I think the goal of having information come across and programs be women-centered, I think is an awesome thing, especially just with issues that are happening around the globe, that you can't go anywhere and not see or hear from a woman. So yes. I think it's very commendable for you to have developed this platform and actually make it a goal to put women forward for our voices to be heard. I think that that is truly a remarkable and commendable thing that you are doing. So I want to ask you, in the platforms that you have created and the opportunities that you have presented with the programs that are on Luv Bay, do you think that the hosts, the programs, do you think that they are helping you realize this goal of communication and having women be centered and our voices be heard?
Yes, definitely. We're so proud to have come across and also to invite women to be like we have Fadwa Yusuf, for instance. Once we got hold of her, and she said she was hosting a program on another FM station, terrestrial radio station. And once she heard about what we intended to do, she quit the other one, and he came on board. We have Dr. Tapo on the mental health, and Jan Two Blue, and there are so many. So it's been welcomed, to say the least. It's been welcomed, and we hope to do more. I don't think we have even scratched the surface yet. I don't think so, because right now we focused on programs that may one way or the other be scheduled for the evenings, but we are trying also to bring women on board, especially those across the oceans, who will be able to also come up with some programs. As a matter of fact, I got a message from a lady I have never met before. I think she has been following this program and other programs. And she's a news anchor in Nigeria. And she contacted me today. And I'm saying to myself, we've been communicating. And she asked me, I said, I gave a synopsis of some of the programs. Of course, Suffering in Silence was one thing that I discussed with her. And she said, I said, it originates from Philadelphia. I said, by the way, you have any program originating from Nigeria? I said, no. I said, yeah, let's talk about it. Right? So right now, we are also looking at overseas to bring a lot of people from different, areas around the globe to come in. And we have, most of our listeners are also from, are in Russia. And I'm in touch with a lady from Russia who wants us to communicate and develop certain programs to augment what we are trying to do. So basically, the answer to your question is we are happy where we are right now.
Yes.
And we hope to do better.
That's awesome. So I want to ask you this question, and then Bob, I'll go to you for a question and comment. But I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on our program, Suffering in Silence, our program, our co-host? Because what we do, I mean, this is an absolutely, it's a hard topic, the program itself. And this is also my focus in ministry. It falls under Bob's his work description, working as a Title IX coordinator, but dealing with the issue of domestic violence. A lot of people shy away from it. They don't want to deal with it. There are people who will say it's a problem, we need help, something needs to be done, but they don't want to be the one to do it. And so I think it's a very commendable act for Luv Bay to have this program. When I spoke with you, I spoke with Jan too. I was very clear about what I do, what my ministry is. I don't hide anything. I think those hard things that people want to shy away from and they don't want to discuss, that's the stuff that I have to be honest about and put out. So again, it's just not easy. Domestic violence is not easy. So what do you think about the program?
I think it's Suffering in Silence goes along with the fact that like I indicated before, it's something that domestic abuse and violence, in many different forms, are not being talked about. Media, the media sensationalize it for one day if something happens.
Yes.
One day, and then tomorrow it's gone. Then they move on to the next, but then it is right there.
Yes.
So this program brings about that kind of a discussion because you've had so many different topics, and a lot of people are so much interested in them, especially when it came to, there was a lady that I've forgotten her name, who came in, and she, during the course of the program, she was crying, and I had tears in my eyes. She was an indigenous woman, and programs like this,
I think that was Cynthia.
brings, that's right, brings out the best in people to come out and talk about domestic violence and violence in general. Like I indicated, it's not only women who suffer in silence, men also suffer in silence, and you have touched on that. Bob has also come out to talk about violence, and because of his background. As a matter of fact, to add to what we're discussing, we are also going to be introducing a program called community policing.
Nice.
Community policing for people to understand their rights, and when it's violence, what people have to do. And in fact, that will be coming up maybe the beginning of the year. But with this program, it has helped a lot of people, because I indicated to you one time, we got a text from a lady from Pakistan.
Yes.
Who was talking about how she has been abused by the husband. And I never knew that people were listening as far as Pakistan and other places. So with online radio, which is the medium for the future, you will never know who will be listening.
Yes.
You will never know who will be listening. And God has blessed us to such an extent that now our listenership has gone up, and we are so happy about it. But I think we there's a lot more work to be done, and we are happy where we are right now. But with respect to this program, it has opened up so many avenues for discussions in terms of the topics that you introduce, and the caliber of our guests and your co-hosts. They ask great questions, and the whole thing is to get people to talk.
Yes.
It's about conversation. It's not an interview. I always tell people when I'm doing my programs, and I say, you know what, you're going to have a conversation. It's not an interview. And you get the best out of people, because the word interview connotes gotcha moments. Gotcha. But if it's if it's a conversation, you get the best out of them, because I can cite so many examples. There was one guest that I was having a conversation with, and I asked him a simple question, and he went off because he felt so comfortable. So he came back and says, "What was the question again?" I didn't have to answer this question because my mom would kill me. I said that. So right after the show, he said, off air, he said, "Man, you make me feel comfortable." And almost all the guests who come up, they always say that. And after the shows that I always do, they never want to go back. They they never want to leave. So sometimes I have to say, after half an hour, let's talk, and we leave. So you making people comfortable is what is very important, and I've seen that when I'm producing it. I see that people are so comfortable, and I've never come. I'm not saying this for saying sake. I've never seen anybody who has, through their mannerisms, who has said, "Oh, I'm scared. Oh, I don't want to go there," and that kind of stuff. Everybody feels comfortable with this program, and I love it. I have to let you know.
Thank you so much. So I know with our program, I can tell you, our guests are always prepared. Like, we have conversations with them, either myself or one of my co-hosts, whoever is going to be leading the interview. We make sure that our guests are comfortable. We make sure that they understand we're not going to ask any questions that are off limits for you. And there have actually been quite a few people who wanted to be on the program, and I said no, because I never want it to be anything where we're taking advantage of someone's story. We're not trying to sensationalize somebody's hurt or pain. And I could see, that with a couple of individuals, they really were willing to help, and they really did want to share their story, but they were just at a point, they weren't far enough in their healing process. And I try to make it very clear. Luv Bay is an international radio program. This is not just sitting in a room talking to one or two people. When the words come out of your mouth, your words are going around the globe. And sometimes you can say something that you want to take back. But once the words are out, I can't control it. I can't help you after that. So I'm going to help you beforehand.
I have to ask this question to you. Have you ever spoken to anybody in Congress about this theory of yours? No, think before you actually open it and go further.
Well, you know, Bob, I actually care about
I know.
people.
I probably just did, but that's okay.
No, actually, we had a conversation with a Democratic congressman. He was running for Congress in I think it was in Minnesota. Caesar, I've forgotten his name, about 2 years ago. Yeah, and a lot of people listened. So we've gone there, that far, but we want to go even further than that.
Yeah. So, Bob, do you have a question or a comment for TYB?
First off, I want to thank you for this program. I mean, in the work that I've done in all the years I've been involved in Title IX and working with victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, the one thing that absolutely comes through is, the opportunity to be heard and to know that somebody is there that does care. I've had so many people explain to me, it's like a cycle. And this, in fact, one of my teaching, one of my PowerPoints that I use in my training seminars is a hand reaching to another hand. And I've said that, and I think that's an absolutely great logo for what you do, Tia and Sir. That it's just a great, it's that hand. It helps people out. The one question that is going through my mind, and I know we're heard around the world. I was listening to something today, things that are occurring, and I'm not going to name a country, but what's going on in a country and how women are just being treated. They're using sexual violence against them, and to make the point. And I'm sitting there going, how do we impact that? How do we impact a change there? It's my wife looks at me sometimes. Would you please just turn off the news because I can see the steam coming out of your ears. We know we can't fix the world all at once, but it's like the old starfish story. I can't get them all back in the sea, but it mattered to that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. How do we, I guess, expand our starting point? Does that question make sense? I hope.
Yeah.
Yes. Just like I indicated, we have to start speaking or talking to each other, speaking with each other. Mm-hmm. We may agree to disagree, but when it comes to sexual violence, there's no excuse, I would say.
Yes.
There's no excuse whatsoever. And when it comes to violence in its entirety, there's also no excuse. Of course, we know sometimes, with today's world, I quite remember, as a matter of fact, about 3 days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was so disappointed. It centered around what you just said. And I said, some of the programs that we have is mental health. He came out and said, mental health doesn't exist. And I said, how about, abuse? He says, it's one-on-one and stuff like that. I was very angry. And I said, well, I won't be angry in that sense, but I would rather use what I know about these things to educate him.
Yes.
So I turned it around, and he was sitting down and said, well, I haven't looked at it from that angle. I said, well, now let's talk. So we can use the media to expand our horizon, to use it to entertain and educate. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't use the platform to do that, and we are always thinking of so many grandiose things, there's TikToking and, nudity and all those things. These are things that bring about some of these things. And our family structures are breaking down because of the world we live in right now. Just like I indicated, we don't talk to each other. We don't understand each other. We think we do. But at the end of the day, there's silence there. That silence is so deafening. So we have to turn it around and to be able to say that, look, what you are doing is wrong. Let's use the pulpits, let's use the synagogues, let's use the mosques, let's use the temples, let's use every facet of places where we use in, for our worships.
Yes.
To educate people. Because at the end of the day, there's not that many counselors out there. If somebody is abused in the church, for instance, the first place that they want to go is to the pastor or to the reverend. But the fact of the matter, do they have the training to do that? And are they willing to sit down and say, you know what you did was wrong and stuff like that? And sometimes they sort of push it under the rug.
Yes.
Because they don't want the police to know. No. Let's settle this out of court. Well, don't let it happen that way. But if you do that, you are exacerbating the whole problem.
Yes.
So there has to be some mechanism where people would have to be punished. By punishment, I don't mean say throw them into jail for, say, maybe 100 years or 200 years and stuff like that. It doesn't stop that pain. You can use it to rather educate that person that what you did is not right, it's not correct. You may see it as something that is good, but it's not. So I think dialoguing and using platforms like and programs like Suffering in Silence and other programs, other forms of programs, may help curtail all these kinds of abuses and rapes and torture and all those kind of stuff, which is not warranted. Sometimes I look at myself and say, if I see that guy, do I know the background of that person? Or that person know my background or stuff like that? We are working with people who have committed so much sins, so many things against women and men and children. And they are working, scot-free. And how do we curtail this? By using platforms to educate. At least if there are about 10 of them and then you are able to get one, it's better than not doing it at all. So
Yes.
my whole thing is to continue the dialogue, to continue to talk, to continue to use any form of platform to do this. That's my thinking about the whole thing.
While you were speaking, my brain started spinning here a little bit, and you talked about educating when you see something that energy, and you're absolutely right. I'm going to have to say something about soccer in a World Cup week.
That's nice.
In the years and I'm going to relate it to what we're talking about, because in the years that I coached, all the years that I coached, players before a match, even coaches are nervous, and that's energy. Use that energy, put that energy into what you're doing, and I think what you said is spot on, absolutely spot on. When we see these things that are upsetting to us, we hear these things, we know these things, that energy, as I said, my wife says steam's coming out of my ear, that's energy. That's energy. And that energy can be used to scream and holler and be angry, or that energy can be used positively to educate in a platform such as this. And I think that's the right road to go down and continue to go down. And we've got a good leader here in Reverend Tia pulling us along.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm trying.
I've been called trying by a lot of people, but that's okay.
Well, Luv Bay, we want to welcome you again to Suffering in Silence with Minister Tia here on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, with a replay on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern, and then also again on Thursdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Luv Bay, we definitely want you to remember that we are rising out of the ashes together. So TYB, one of the things that I wanted to mention is that during this past year, I myself, I've met a lot of different people. And I've heard a lot of different stories, and sometimes, and I mean just aside from ministry, but just with this program itself that we're doing, it's like when you think you've heard the worst of the worst, then there's another story that like trumps that one, or is like in the running. So there's a lot that I have learned and seen. I've learned a lot about mental health I've learned about missing and murdered Indigenous women. I've learned more about human trafficking, sexual assault, and so just because of what I do, I mean, I knew that these areas intersected with domestic violence, but with the guests that we've had and the information that's been provided, I've learned a lot. So I want to ask you, through our program, have you been exposed to or learned information concerning, domestic violence or, some other areas that intersect with it that you didn't previously know of?
Yes. What I learned a lot about was the indigenous women that you brought on the programs.
Yes, that's Cynthia, Miss Cynthia New Holy.
Cynthia Nuco, and then
Mary Weasel Bear, and then Miss Rebecca Baylog.
That's right. I've learned quite a lot because the indigenous community have been shoved aside. We don't know too much about their sufferings, the history, the geography, everything about them has been set aside because we've been made to think that all those people you can touch them and stuff like that. But it's up to us as individuals or as a society or as societies to realize that they are human beings, and we have to go back to search for who they are, what they stand for, and their suffering. And there are a couple of there was one gentleman in particular that you had on the program. He was in some mountain area. It was quite cold.
Yes, Rain Bear. Yeah, Rain Bear.
That's right.
Yes.
I liked it. With all the indigenous people that brothers and sisters that you brought on the program, I've learned so much about them. But the suffering that needs to be, explored further. If anything has got to happen, we all have to hold hands and bring their plight, their frustrations, their everything about them to light, so that as a society, we'll have to come to terms with the fact that we've wronged them.
Yes.
We have to start life all over again. It's not going to be easy, but there's got to be a starting point from there. So by bringing them on air on the program has opened even up further doors for us to even reach out. We have reached out to a couple of people, and we are also going to develop an indigenous program on this platform too as well, so that they will have the chance to tell their own stories, not retelling their stories for all them.
Yes.
So that has also, the program has opened up a lot of other areas that we are looking at.
That is awesome. Bob, you want to add to that? Because Bob personally works with all of those individuals, and he heavily works with missing and murdered Indigenous women and relatives. So, Bob, you want to add to that?
TYB, what you said is precisely true. Is exactly right. I find it interesting, Minister Tia. That I have started several programs and sponsored with those individuals. Miss Baylog, Miss Weasel Bear, Miss New Holy have spoken on my campus. Mr. Ruben Fasthorse. I'm currently working with a group, Pository of Life, here in PA. And what is interesting is the lack of understanding of what has occurred. The true history of what has occurred, and the impact that it has had. As you know, Tia, I've started several different events on campus, and this is nothing against anybody on campus, and I'm not, poking a jack, but people would walk by my office where I had displays and or whatever, and when I did an event, I would invariably hear, I didn't know that. I had no idea that was happening. The most recent being the school children that were lost in the Native American boarding school program, and everything that had happened to them, and how it impacted the generations, and has been such a root of the issues occurring, in the families. And to a person, I did not know that. And the good thing is, venues like this give somebody like me an opportunity to say, now you know. Now you know. And, it's like once you see the light, it's kind of hard to say it's not there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I think it's absolutely fantastic that you're going to do an Indigenous segment on the show. That's
is
marvelous.
awesome. That is
And
awesome.
I'll pass that on to the people I know, and I'm sure they will be very, very, very pleased and reaching out to you.
Oh yeah, I mean we are ready. No matter where the person is, whether they are on Antarctica or on Jupiter or Mars, it's got to be done, and something that has got to be done. See, I'm of the opinion that if we don't talk, if we don't experience each other's pain, if we don't aspire to know what happened, we will never know, what is going to happen. Because like the indigenous, the missing indigenous women and stuff like we have the same thing in Canada here.
Oh, yes.
It's the same thing in Canada here, and people are now realizing the fact that it's something that we have to sort of tackle. As a matter of fact, the government has granted, I think it's September 30th, as Indigenous Day, as a day of remembrance and reconciliation and stuff like that. It's the first step. It's the first step. But I think more can be done, or could be done, notwithstanding the fact that it's not going to be an overnight kind of situation that we have to deal with. Because even as we speak, a lot of them are still suffering. The governments just during elections, we are going to do A, B, C, D. But once they get into power, that's it. You don't hear that. You don't hear that, they are helping or stuff like that. These days I see, I think a couple of days ago, I saw an indigenous woman. There was a program, and she was talking about how they are still suffering. And it brought tears to my eyes. Because people are beginning to what I would term that they are like ostriches.
Yes.
I've seen it. I haven't seen it. I think what I would term is a me, myself, and I kind of era that we live in. Every other thing doesn't matter. Me, myself, and I. That's it. So if that thing is happening or has happened to that person, I don't care. I didn't cause it. I didn't do this. But at the end of the day, if you live in Antarctica or you live in Faroe Island, anywhere you live, it's a very small world right now.
Yes.
Because if it has happened over there, for say 15,000 kilometers away, it's 5 kilometers or 1 kilometer. Because we live in a very small world right now. So we have to be able to start thinking about not myself, not me, myself, my family. No. We have to think in a broader societal kind of agenda that we have to tackle that, because the four indigenous people that you brought to the program opened up a lot of avenues for me to say that I discussed with the board. They said, sure, why not? We can do that. We should be able to do that. So plans are afoot, and now once we get people who will host it, people who it's open, we'll do it. And just like that, we'll do it, and we are going to do it. Once we decide to do it, we are going to do it, because like I indicated, whoever controls the media controls the narrative. And once we have the platform, we have to use it to the benefit of everybody. Let's talk. Yes, if we don't do that, we'll continue to be sitting in the subway, driving cars, and I don't even know what's happening in cockpits. Yeah, cockpits. Because as soon as I put it in, like piloting, I just pick up my stuff and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope not.
Yeah, so the whole idea of Luv Bay is to entertain and entertain, and and use the platform to cover so many different areas where we are not all about music. We are not all about music. Everybody is a musician, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to sit back and sit down and discuss topics as they may relate to our families, our society, everything that can bring some positive vibes into our well-being. Other than that, we're not doing anything that will make us, function as a society.
Yes. So,
What you said,
go ahead, Bob.
what you said is so very, very true. And as Minister Tia knows, I've been studying the Lakota language, because once you understand someone's language, you get deeper. That's the soul of a people. It's how they think. It's how they feel. And you talked about this connection, and the Lakota have a beautiful phrase, "Matakue oyasi." We are all related. We are all connected.
Oh yes.
And it's not only us to us, but it's us to everything around us, the land, nature, etc. And saving each other, hopefully we will save this world.
Yes.
So
Luv Bay, I want to share a couple more resources. In Australia, we have the National Family Violence Counseling Service. Their website is www.1800respect.org.au. Their phone number is 1-800-737-732. We have the Canadian Women's Foundation. Their website is canadianwomen.org, and their phone number is 1-866-293-4483. And then we have IDAS in England, which is a specialist charity in Yorkshire supporting people affected by domestic abuse and sexual violence. Their website is idas.org.uk. Their phone number is 030-00110-110. So, TYB, I wanted to say that I love talk radio. I've always loved talk radio. I enjoy listening to conversation. For me, it's a peaceful thing. I enjoy just hearing a conversation. That is a positive conversation or information on, not anything that's nonsense. So I wanted to ask you, the format of our program, I believe the format of all the programs on Luv Bay is to be conversational. So do you think that the listeners benefit from that format and from the information and topics, the guests that are shared, the way that it's done on Luv Bay? Again, Luv Bay goes around the globe, but I myself, I really believe that there are conversations that are heard. It may just be heard in one family living room. It may just be heard by, someone driving down a road. And so that information heard may affect change just in that one family or in that one person, that hears it. So what are your thoughts on the format and how it's received by our listeners?
I think the format. Let's look at the demography. It's from 18 to 65. Mm-hmm. So we've combined a lot of youthful programs and adult stuff. And one thing that we've come to notice is the fact that once you have most of our listeners don't want to call in. Mm-hmm. We've tried to ask why, mm-hmm. and a lot of them always say that we don't want to stop the flow. Mm-hmm. We want to listen, and if we have something, we'll tell you. If we don't, we'll text it to you, because some of the topics that you bring out are so good to such an extent that we just want to listen, especially like with the mental health program. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have 20 texts. People just text in. And the gospel the Sunday gospel, same thing. Yours, same thing. So the more mature the audience or the listeners, mm-hmm. the more they want to know what is actually going on. But when it comes to the youthful program like Voices of the Millennials and the Highway 6 to Africa and all those things, sometimes, they want to come and talk because they've seen the superstars around there and stuff like that. But in general terms, most of the listeners, the format is good. I like the format. If you want to call in, fine. You're welcome to call in. And if you want to listen to, that's also fine. And one thing that I find is that most of the listeners want to listen because of the content of what is being discussed.
Yes.
They love that. So we've tried in several ways to commission polls to find out, to what people are thinking. And basically that's what a lot of people want to do. They just don't want to break the flow. And so basically that's how it is. But the format is great.
Okay. Bob, what do you think about the format? Because again, I never wanted us to be those interviewers that are trying to catch someone in a vulnerable moment, just
cutting off people and
right.
Inappropriate and stuff like that.
Right, not letting them finish. And I mean, I know I can talk. I can carry an hour by myself. I know that.
I'm Irish. I can talk for a long time. I'll break into Danny Boy. No, I think the format is really, really very, very good. And what TYB just said, and Tia, you and I know this from the work that we've done, especially, and I'm going to kind of microscope into my area that I work in. When I'm dealing with someone who's been traumatized, control and decision has been taken from them. And in a broad sense, you're giving some control back to them. They can call in, they can text, or they can just listen. And that's important for people who have been traumatized, who are listening. They don't have to feel compelled to call or to. I just want to listen. I want to learn, and I think I think the way the format is very good because it's open. It's wide open, as I said, and it gives the power to participate at whatever level you wish to the individuals listening.
Yeah. So it's open and we don't restrict anybody from not calling. Yeah, if you want to call, it's fine. If you want to text, you text. If you want to send an email, just do it. Yes, I just like what Paul said. I don't want a program where you're going back and forth. I've listened to a lot of different radio programs, and the host wants you to tell them what they want to hear. And I don't want that. Majority of them don't want any opposing kind of stuff because they have their agenda as to where they want to take the program to. And they want that yes, a master thing or yes, ma'am thing. But then if the fact that people are not calling doesn't mean that they are not listening. Yes. It's better to listen than to come and say something that is, excuse me to say, stupid. Where the host will say, no, that's not what I expected from you, and then it's banter right, and then they cut you off. It's rude to me personally. It's very rude to do it publicly, whether you know the person or not as a host.
Yes. You
have to have respect, and be respected.
Yes.
So that's how the format is. We are open. If you want to call in, people call in other shows, 1 or 2 or 3. I want to know this. The host will just go with that, and then that's it. There's no follow-up. If you want to follow up, that's fine. So we don't restrict anybody from not calling in. But we also guard against the fact that it's an online radio. It's live to air radio. So we always have to take precautions. But we have the delay button here, so. And we don't want to do that, and so, because we respect everybody's opinion, but sometimes there may be limits to that.
Yes.
So if somebody is not calling in, that's fine. So it's open. That we always tell people, if you want to call in. If you want to listen, that's also fine. So basically, the format, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, and we do respond to all the inquiries that we get. If it is a phone call, a text message, or an email, we do respond, and we do everything that we can to get the answer to whatever question we were asked. So TYB, I have another question for you. I know we're just under the hour, but we have the producer with us. We're with the producer, so I think we can run over.
Yes. That's how the whole thing is said. Yes, that's right.
So Bob and I and our other co-hosts, we're already working on the schedule for 2023. We're lining up guests and topics. So I wanted to ask you, are there some things that as the producer that you would like to continue to see, or some additional things that you would like to see through Suffering in Silence?
What comes to my mind is that I would like at some point add to the guests, maybe 2, on the topic, and then they will be able to, they may agree to disagree, or they may have the convergent ideas to sort of take it out there as opposed to one person. So maybe you may consider 2, and at a certain point in time, you may also organize a virtual kind of conversation. Bring the guests, the most of the guests who may have appeared on the program, and we do a virtual thing, and we'll carry it live. So basically, all options are on the table. So far as and as far as we can enhance the listening pleasures of so many people around the globe. So all options are on the table. But if you can add one or 2 people and stuff like that, yeah, that's also great. And what people are saying, we get is that the pictures. And I say, no, if a person is traumatized, you don't want to bring the person out there.
Right. Right. So
I just don't.
That sounds. I think those are good ideas. Adding an additional guest, I think that can only enhance conversation. I think the virtual is a good idea because I think the visual is really good. But then again, because of what we do, we have to be clear with our guests, and we have to protect them and see what they're comfortable with. But I believe there are some topics we covered in some of the guests that we had who it wouldn't be a problem to be virtual. So I think that's a really good idea.
We can do that, and then we have we can do that on LinkedIn. We can do it on StreamYard. We can do it on Zoom. We can do it in so many. We have everything covered right now as we can do it. But I like one thing is I like radio the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way, meaning, these days people go on live and they are doing all sorts of things, showing all this kind of stuff. But back in the day, what you don't see cannot hurt you. Back in the day, people were listening to concerts and to comedians doing their stuff and theaters and all those stuff without visualizing, and they enjoyed it.
Yes.
My whole thing is that it's better, personally, but we may change it somewhere down the line. It's better to be behind that cloak, and then once you step out there, you say, "Oh, is that you? Oh my God! Is that him?" Because I've gone through that where I go to places and they say, "Oh, that's Theo, the Juno Award winner." Is that you? Me? Oh, no, not me. It's my brother. Right? I was want to keep things that mystique around things like that's the old-fashioned way radio is. But we are subject to change. I mean, the whole world is changing at a faster rate, so you have to go with the flow. But you have to be also like in terms of suffering in silence. We may be able to sort of shield those who need to be protected.
Yes.
But if it's a general topic that everybody can talk about, then I don't see the reason why we can go live on Facebook. I don't see that at all. That can even get people talking, people, sort of getting involved more. But if we have to protect people, why not? Yeah. But in the absence of that, I think all options are on the table, and we are here. Yeah. That's how this radio station is all about. It's a community radio station. It's for everybody. It's not for The fact of the matter is that the idea came. I love radio, and then we have put everything on the table, and it's working so far. We're so happy where we are right now, and God being so good to us. I think we are going to do what it takes to do so many things. As a matter of fact, like going beyond the call of duty, as we have another NGO that caters to the poor and the needy, a food bank. Mm-hmm. We do that. During the pandemic, we were able to give food to the elderly, to go to churches and stuff like that, hot meals from restaurant. We had a restaurant that was cooking. And we just go and then pack it up and go to different kind of areas. We were in touch with churches and pastors, and then they will bring people, and then we just feed them. And we also been taking the mantle somewhere again. We are doing it for the first time. We are going to have a Christmas party for the children who may not be able to celebrate Christmas as Christmas is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a Christmas party, giving toys to children ages 2 to 12. And we've been in touch with the Toronto Police, Station 22. They are so happy to be on board with us. And on Christmas Day, we are going downtown. We are working downtown Toronto to give McDonald's cards and Tim Hortons cards and blankets and tubes and gloves and shirts and clothing to the homeless. That's what we want to do. So even though it's a radio station, we want to go beyond the call of duty to help those who are not as fortunate as us. Mm-hmm. So we're putting everything together, so the conversation will still have to continue.
That is awesome. Bob, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I think what has just been said sums it all up, and it gets back to what I said, Mitakawe Oisen, where you prove that, and that's great. By the way, one of these years in one of your Christmas programs in college, I did Reader's Theater. I was always the Grinch. So if you need a Grinch, I still know how to do the voice.
Oh. Well, TYB, I want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. I look forward to the upcoming year. I look forward to the additional things that we will do. I guess the virtual portion will take the mystique off of me because everybody wants to know what I look like. I never use my picture for anything. So nobody knows what I look like unless you go to church with me. But I think that's a beautiful thing. And, now we are just over the hour, but I want to ask you to leave our listeners with some final words, just your last thoughts, not just on our program, Suffering in Silence, but all of your programs, Luv Bay as a whole. If you would just leave us with some final words on tonight, and we thank you for the work that you have done and for the opportunity you provided, because you have helped us to be able to share our message, to share information. And I believe I can say for Bob also, being on this program, you have helped us. We've been able to share messages. I met Cynthia and Mary and Rebecca through Bob. So it's like the circle is growing, so this opportunity opened more doors for me and for us and what we do. So we truly thank you for that. So, but I want to give you the final words on tonight, what you would leave the listeners with.
Thank you, Minister Tia. When you asked me to be on the hot seat, if I remember, was it last week when you reminded me? I had forgotten about that. You know what? But then here we are. It's a community and community radio station. Mm-hmm. It's a family radio station. We say that everybody is part of it because we believe that the time has come for all of us to sit at the table, eat together, share stories together, feel each other's pain, feel each other's happiness, and continue to talk, because if we leave politicians alone to rule the world,
Yes.
we don't have any place. It's the people who matter. But at the end of the day, if we have to sit back and talk, we have to use platforms. We may agree to disagree. We have to create content that everybody would say, aha, I want to be a part of it. So we've opened up this platform for everybody to use it. If you have any program that you feel that, we'll be able to use it to communicate with each other. We'll use it to educate and to entertain everyone around the globe. So I would say that there's a lot for us to do, you and I, the listener, wherever you may be. By the way, good morning and good afternoon and good evening. And you may be having your lunch or your breakfast, but hey, at the end of the day, we are together. And like I indicated before, we will sum it up this way, that I believe in dialogue. We have to tell our own stories. We don't have to let anybody tell our stories for us. And what more can we do? By using platforms that will enhance our knowledge about the society and the world that we live in, we'll be able to thrive and live happily ever after the years we are all human beings, and at the end of the day, it's the human race that we all we all belong to. And continue to support us, continue to listen to Suffering in Silence and all the other radio programs that we do have. Just Google Luv Bay Radio and it will take you to maybe about 40 directories. I didn't know that we were on so many different directories, so many different languages, so many different people are picking up our programs. I never knew that until I visited the websites and I saw so many stars being given to us. So it means we are doing something good. And you should also come and join with us. Invite your friends and your friends' friends and your friends' friends' friends, and let them know that you've discovered a radio station that gives you everything that you may want to be a part of. So I thank you. Like I indicated, the hunter has been hunted right now. Yes, I enjoyed it on the other side of the mic. I really, really enjoyed it. And I commend you and Bob and the guests and the co-hosts. And my God, I'm so happy that you are part of the family.
Thank you.
And if I think about the fact that you booked guests as far as maybe November of next year and stuff like that, it means you're doing something good, because everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be a part of it. And I pray to God that we expand our horizon and then do so many things. And I'll be counting on Bob to off air. We'll talk about the Indigenous program. I haven't forgotten about it. Yeah. So, Minister Tia, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And Bob, also, as always, anytime you come on air, you share jokes, and I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. And listeners, also, the Luv Bay app is available. You can get it through Google Play and also the App Store. So, and it's a really easy app to download and use. So I encourage you to do that. If you want to catch up on previous episodes from the program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Suffering in Silence DV. We want to thank you for joining Suffering in Silence with Minister Tia on Luv Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Luv Bay, please remember that we are rising out of the ashes together. Good evening.